Hey, what's up everyone? I'm the Burning Baron, but you can just call me the Baron. And we're back with the next game for my Mario Kart all-track ranking videos. We are going to be tackling Mario Kart Super Circuit. Quick refresher of the rules, as always, personal opinion. This is just entirely what I think of the tracks. It's not what I think this is not a consensus that you know what I'm trying to say. This is not fact, this is opinion. Alright, so Super Circuit is kind of one of my favorite Mario Karts. It's probably like my favorite handheld Mario Kart, maybe dueling with Mario Kart 7, I don't know. But trust me when I say, I have a lot of varying opinions on these tracks, mostly for how they're treated in the franchise overall. So let's can the intro and get right to it. We're going to start with Peach Circuit. Peach Circuit for me is really a lot like Mario Circuit 1 in the sense where it is a very, very basic track with not a lot to it. The only thing I would say that it has over Mario Circuit 1 is a bit more of a colorful palette. That is the thing about the GBA, in that the courses were a lot brighter and more vibrant when compared to the Super NES. Like, a lot of the SNES tracks they boil down to maybe 3 colors. The Bowser Castle maps are just gray and red, the Mario circuits were brown, gray, and green. Vanilla Lake was light blue, blue, and white. It's just that a lot of them had a lot of the same colors, and it was just like a 3-color palette to the track itself. The GBA at least had a lot more color going for them, especially with the background. Peach Circuit has the big Peach's Castle in the background. That being said, it's still a pretty basic opener. I think just getting right to it. Well, actually, no, not getting right to it, because there's still a lot to talk about. Because, much like a lot of SNES tracks, Tour did a lot for a lot of GBA tracks. For better or for worse. And I gotta say, for Peach Circuit, for the better. The overall changes to elevation, the general revamping of the entire environment, yet keeping the Peach's Castle. It's like near the lake now. The Tour rendition of Peach Circuit is very impressive when compared to the original GBA and even the DS reappearance. The variants were also very well done. I'd say that the T and the RT versions were probably the best because, well, Peach Circuit's unfortunately just one of those small tracks where it's hard to really do anything on. It's 100% a step up from most SNES tracks. In fact, I think... I'm looking, I feel like it's gonna easily cap every single SNES track. I don't know what's gonna break up this massive SNES track section in C, but do I want to say that it's the top of C? Because, honestly, I feel like recency bias kind of plays a role in the fact that the Tour rendition just kind of looks the best. Yeah, you know what? I think for now I'm gonna put it in the top of C. It's, I feel like its Tour rendition really does carry it. I feel like DK's Jungle Parkway might have a shot at beating it out, but right now I think Peach Circuit just sits at the top. Shy Guy Beach is up next, and this one was not in Tour, but it was in Mario Kart Wii, and I kind of quite enjoyed it in Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii was one of those games that definitely tried to keep each track faithful to their original appearances, and the GBA tracks were, out of the 2 that were in the game, very faithful, and I very much appreciated that. Shy Guy Beach features a Shy Guy pirate ship in the back that fires cannonballs in the original and actual bombs in the Wii version. And both were, well, the cannonballs were not that threatening, they were very small. The bombs were pretty threatening if you got caught up in one of those. It is a pretty generic beach, but unlike Koopa Beach 1 and 2, it's for sure a better, or for sure, okay, you know what, puns aside, It's definitely better than the Koopa beaches, where it has at least more to look at. The sky is a lot more vibrant, the clouds are a lot more noticeable, there are some islands, like small islands, and of course the Shy Guy pirate ship in the back. And all that isn't even talking about the fact that the beach itself is a little bit more entertaining, not by much, but it's a little bit better. Like, I'd say Shy Guy Beach is definitely better by GBA/SNES standards. And I honestly really do. I love the cartoony look that the Wii rendition kept for the track. And I think that really does help it. I personally do not want to put it in the C tier, but I don't think it climbs too high in B. Does it though? You know what? No, I actually feel like I'm feeling generous. I'm gonna put it between Luigi Raceway and Royal Raceway. I personally enjoy it as a track a little bit more than I enjoy Mario Circuit 4 and Royal Raceway. It's got really good music. That's a big one. I don't talk about. I know I should not be basing a lot of my choices solely on music, but I know that the music has to have a say in these choices. So Shy Guy Beach I'm gonna put in B tier. I really do enjoy it. It's a very simple track. Definitely, I do enjoy it more than Royal Raceway and Mario Circuit 4. Mostly because I think I'm a little numb to Royal Raceway at this point. A lot of Mario Kart 8 tracks might have that effect on me right now. And it's got more to talk about them. It's got more going for it than Mario Circuit 4's only appearance. So I think I'm going to put it here. Doesn't exactly beat out some of these other ones, though. Riverside Park is probably the first track where I can start talking about disappointments, to say the least. So, I think it was a pretty okay track in Super Circuit. Would I call it one of the most notable ones? No. But then it came back in Tour and in Mario Kart 8. And this is where one very consistent topic is going to come up. And that's Tour's redesigns of track layouts. Some tracks got hit pretty hard. We will talk about one of them. But some of them didn't get hit nearly as hard, and I don't know where. Well, I'd say Riverside Park is kind of hanging just below the average and hanging slightly above the you got hit pretty bad. It still retains a lot of its general shape, but a lot of extra turns were taken out or simplified, and I understand, but at the same time, which ones were necessary? I think the little bit at the beginning wasn't really that necessary. Turning the entire beginning U-turn into just a straight-on right-hand turn just did not feel necessary to me. I feel like Riverside Park now definitely looks like a Mushroom Cup track, but as someone who grew up with Mario Kart Super Circuit, I got this game when I was like 6 years old, and I loved the tracks in this game, and I still do. A lot of the redesigns just didn't sit very well with me, and I think Riverside is definitely one of them. Did it get hit nearly as hard as certain other tracks? Absolutely not. I think, if anything, some of the core things were actually retained. Mostly the loop at the very end. And speaking of that, I think that's where I can talk about some of the points where I definitely think that the redesigns were very favorable, in that a lot of elevation changes were made at some of these tracks. In Tour and 8 Deluxe, the loop at the end is now a big spiraling cave that goes upward, and it leads to a jump that leads to the finish line, and I think that was really cool. The rest of the bridges were now like elevated upward a little bit more for the jumps. Specifically the one at the very beginning. I think that one was really cool. If I wanted to rank Riverside, I feel like it's definitely higher than Peach Circuit, but it's not as high as Shy Guy Beach. I think I would put it at I feel like the visual aspect of 8 Deluxe and Tour definitely helped this track stand out. It was a lot more lush, and all the trees were a lot closer. It felt like you were actually in the swampy forest, I want to say. I want to say it's like kind of like a light jungle or something. I definitely think it helped a lot. It was a pretty solid booster course pass track for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe standards, so I think I'm going to put it at the bottom of B. I don't really think it ranks above how much I really enjoy Mario Circuit 4, and even Royal Raceways just kind of got a little bit more going for it. Riverside, I think, is a fair B track at this point, especially with Tour and 8 Deluxe kind of helping it out. But I think the layout changes just kind of prevent it from climbing any higher. I think it was a little... It was simplified, and I guess I can forgive it because it was originally a Mushroom Cup course. I just kind of, again, the original layouts kind of resonate with me a little bit more. GBA Bowser Castle 1 is next. Much like... GBA Bowser Castle 1 is a lot like Bowser Castle 1 in that it's very short. It's actually... I'd argue that this one's shorter than the SNES version. Is it... this one's hard because this one's another track that I've kind of grown numb to thanks to it being in Mario Kart 7 and its kind of overabundance of appearances in Mario Kart Tour. The thing about Mario Kart Tour is, especially with the base game tracks, is that you'll see a lot. If you've been playing the game since the beginning, you've seen some of these tracks a lot. Bowser Castle 1 probably has I don't think it has nearly as many appearances as the most. Waluigi Pinball, if I'm correct, actually has the most amount of appearances out of all tracks in Mario Kart Tour. But Bowser Castle 1 was in the very first tour, if I'm correct, so... it's kind of gotten a little bit boring for me. And it kind of really wasn't that... I didn't really like that it was the only GBA track in Mario Kart 7. I kind of already touched on this with my Mario Kart 64 ranking, where I kind of would have liked it if Koopa Troopa Beach wasn't in the game, and they added another GBA track. Do I really... It's a fine track. I was just playing on it, and I do still like it. I don't really think it has what it takes to climb into the B tier, though. It doesn't change too much in its 3 appearances. I appreciate and respect that it was kept marginally the same in Mario Kart 7 and in Mario Kart Tour. The variants in Mario Kart Tour weren't bad, but being a very short track, it does suffer from it's very hard to get anything done on that track thing. The RT and the T variants definitely save it. I kind of really like the giant ramp. I think there is a giant ramp on the long straightaway at the end in the trick version, and I do very much like that. I think I'm gonna have to put it in C, though. I will put it at the top of C. Peach Circuit and Bowser Castle 1 really are very similar to their SNES counterparts in that they're both very standard and very short. They're just standard opener and a Bowser Castle. So they kind of just do that. GBA Mario Circuit, it's in Mario Kart 8, and I really like that they took the U-turn and elevated it to make it an anti-gravity section. Otherwise, this is a Mario Circuit of all time. It's a Mario Circuit, all right. It does Mario Circuit things. It's got Mario in the name, and it's a circuit that belongs to Mario. There is nothing to say about this track. Even amongst Mario circuits, it's got nothing for it. I like it. It just doesn't bring anything to the table, honestly. Yeah. Mario Kart 8's is really the only thing I could talk about here because it's got the U-turn elevation. And I will say I like that from that elevation you can see the whole track. I have a thing where I really enjoy seeing tracks from like an overhead view where you can see the entire thing in one image, especially for tracks where you're not supposed to see the entire thing in one image. specifically anything that's not from the SNES or the GBA. But for Mario Kart 8 standards, where everything was bigger and you generally couldn't see everything in one sitting, being able to see the entire track from the top of the U-turn was pretty cool. Especially in the Mario Kart 8 trailer that debuted this track, you did get a view of the entire track from some of this footage. Still though, it's hard because like Mario Circuit is longer than Peach Circuit, but I think the detailing just makes it a little lower. Even the interesting idea of the U-turn being elevated. Peach Circuit also got elevation changes, and that was in Mario Kart Tour, and they generally looked a lot better. So, this one's tricky. I'm gonna actually place it in between Koopa Troopa Beach and Choco Island 2. Mario Circuit's problem is that it doesn't have variants in Tour. It doesn't have a Tour appearance, so it doesn't have anything more to make it interesting. Koopa Troopa Beach does. Actually, no. No, I do kind of like it a little more than Koopa Troopa Beach, so I'm going to put it below Moo Moo Farm and DK's Jungle Parkway. It's a C-tier track because it doesn't really have much going for it. Its appearance in 8 was fine and it was cool, but other than that, it doesn't really have much. Oh, GBA Boo Lake. Ask me like 3 or 4 years ago, and this definitely would not be where I want to put it. But asking me now, whew, Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart Tour did a number on this boy. That was not a good thing to say. No, they did a good number on this track. God damn it, I really need to watch my wording. I just get so into this. I say the wrong things. Anyway, ignoring all that, Boo Lake got a very, very good glow up in Mario Kart 8 Tour and especially in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. If you saw my Booster Course Pass ranking, you'd know that I gave Boo Lake's appearance in the Booster Course Pass an S. When I'm comparing it to every single track, I don't think I can have it climb that high, but I don't know if I could place it any lower than A, really. In the original, I really appreciate how big it was, and it definitely got a really nice OG layout. But what makes it even better is that layout didn't change too much when it came back in Mario Kart Tour. The most notable thing is that the U-turn at the very bottom of the track near the square split section, it was made into a straight U-turn as opposed to having a straightaway and then a turn going back inward. It was simplified there, but other than that, not too much. It retains its shape, but it was compacted a lot. It was made a little bit smaller. The road is not nearly as big. The whole thing was very big. I think the biggest thing was how it's now the whole second bit of the track is now underwater, and that was really cool. I really like. And in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they made an anti-gravity section where the U-turn goes straight up and then straight down into the water, and it's all tilted. And the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version has the dilapidated boardwalk that represents the large section that was added in the Tour version. In the Tour version, there was a section of boardwalk on the very bottom of the track, near the last turn to the finish line, and that part was destroyed in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and some of the planks and poles and posts that were holding that boardwalk up were retained. I honestly thought that was really cool. It makes me feel that they definitely took Boo Lake and worked with it a little bit more. They didn't just directly port it. No, they did some work on that model, and I really enjoyed that. All the variants of Boo Lake and Tour were really good because they all make use of that little boardwalk section at the bottom. I think this is definitely a solid A track. The question is where? Where do I want to put Boo Lake? You know what? I'm going to tie it up with Banshee Boardwalk for the moment. I'm going to put it above Banshee Boardwalk. Banshee Boardwalk is a nostalgic track for me that was definitely a sleeper pick that I even realized I didn't even talk that much about, which is a dang unfortunate thing. A damn unfortunate thing. I probably should have talked about it a little bit more. Banshee Boardwalk was great in both of its appearances. Boo Lake got a massive glow up that I just have to give it. I have to give it the praise it deserves. It definitely is an A-rank track for me. Cheeseland is another really great track. This was 100% a super unique track. It really fleshed out Super Circuit's unique theming that I really, really enjoyed. It came back in Mario Kart 8 as DLC, and it kept its layout pretty faithful, and I respect that. It went from night to day, and the whole track after the large jumps over the track itself went into a slanted cliff that turned into an anti-gravity, and I love that. I think the only disappointing thing about the 8 Deluxe or 8/8 Deluxe version is the lack of the little mice that appear, the little mousers. I really am disappointed that the mice didn't reappear in the cheese course. I don't know if cheese and mice follows the same stigma as milk and cats, or how because I know milk isn't actually all that great for cats. Carrots and rabbits, that's what I heard, that rabbits aren't actually able to eat carrots. I don't know if cheese is actually good for mice or if it's bad for mice, but the case in point is that it's disappointing that the mice weren't in the remake. Otherwise, I really, really enjoy this track. This was one of those tracks in Mario Kart 8 that I would play so much when it was new, and I really do enjoy seeing it. Like a lot of other Mario Kart 8 tracks, though, it is a little old at this point, because keep in mind, for people who have been playing Mario Kart 8 since it came out, some of these tracks are 10 years old. And 10 years old without seeing a new game, barring Tour, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to go back and keep playing those tracks for so long, since a lot of us have between Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Still, I don't think that's going to affect how I rank Cheeseland. It's still a phenomenal track. I love the OG. It was really big. Had a lot of shortcut opportunities that I really enjoyed. The jumps were super fun. I loved how it looped around itself. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart 8 kept that, and I really appreciate it. The cheese theme in Mario Kart 8 was super fun with all the pizza-shaped cliffs and the cheese bricks hanging around. This is a very strong A-rank track, 100%. I really gotta give it glowing praise. This is another case where it's like, I don't really know if I can separate Choco Mountain and SNES Rainbow Road, so it's like, do I put it above? You know what? I have to put it above. I really do. Cheeseland is pretty phenomenal as a track, and I really do enjoy it. I don't know yet if it reaches S rank, but we'll see. It could sneak its way up there as a bottom tier S rank track. For now, though, I think it's a pretty high A. Bowser Castle 2. I think this one's definitely better than SNES Bowser Castle 2, but I don't know if it's my favorite. No, it's not. Well, no, it's not my favorite, 100%. It's a matter of, do I think it's better than Bowser Castle 1? It's bigger, but it's kind of got the same problem as Mario Circuit, where it just doesn't have a lot to it. Well, actually, it does have a lot of... It does have the unique fence roads and a lot of the non-brick... It almost looks like pavement, not entirely sure what it is. But there are a lot of jumps in this one, that's for certain. And it's got that big open area with all the long, skinny jumps that you naturally can't make unless you have a mushroom, so you have to cut them short. Yeah, no, actually, looking back at this one, I do have fond memories of this one in both DS and in GBA. It wasn't bad in Tour, but it's also a very old track in Tour, so it kind of wears on me a little bit. Not much to say. The variants in Tour were not bad. The trick version was definitely fun for how many jumps you can get off, and the reverse trick version was a lot of fun. It's really hard. Where do I want... well, I know where I want to place this, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot to talk about with this one. It's a mighty fine track. I do very much enjoy it. Excuse me. But I'm gonna have to put this. I'll put it at the bottom of B, honestly. Yeah, bottom of B, because it's definitely got to rival Riverside Park's improvements. No, you know what? I actually do think I like it a little more than Riverside. Riverside still has some of the unfortunate layout changes that I wasn't huge on. GBA Luigi Circuit. This one's a lot, like, I wouldn't say this one's worse than Mario Circuit at all. But, like, no, it's good. It's got the rainy vibes. It's different for most circuits. It's the first track to take place in the rain, which was pretty unique, especially for the GBA. Being a track with that feature debuting that early in a game that generally probably had a lot of limits. That's pretty impressive. GBA Luigi Circuit appeared in Tour and in DS. In Tour, it did receive a few layout changes. Not too huge. You could still tell it was Luigi Circuit, but a lot of the turns were definitely simplified. Not so much that I think it's a huge problem though. So I'm not going to really take that into account. I really liked the trick version of Luigi Circuit in GBA or in Tour. I loved the two giant ramps that got. If you played an auto mode and pause the race, you can get a good view of the entire track, and I thought that was really fun. It does have a shocking 2 appearances for when it debuted. GBA Luigi Circuit debuted in the Mario vs. Luigi Tour, if I'm correct, the third one in 2022. And given that it got another appearance when tracks like Mario Raceway and SNES Bowser Castle 3 didn't, that's pretty impressive. It was ranked in both, I think. I think both of its appearances had a ranked appearance, but that's not the point. The point is, it's a pretty decent track. I don't really know if I want to place it anywhere higher than C, though. I think my friend would very much like me to mention that it's got the big blimp. The Luigi blimp. The Luigi blimp that also appears in the next track, which is pretty fun. I do like, it's pretty different for a Luigi track. It doesn't really scream Luigi other than the blimp. It's got the weather hangers in the back. I don't exactly, it looks like a weather station, really. Otherwise, you know what? I'm going to put this at the top of C. It's not bad, but I don't really think it climbs too much higher. No, it does. Does it? Oof, this is another tough one. We're seeing a point where it's really hard to see anything dropping below C now. I don't really know if any of these GBA tracks are even going to hit the D rank. You know what? I'm going to leave Luigi Circuit at top of C for now. Might change later on. Again, I was realizing a lot of these tracks could definitely change the more get added and the more I compare. So we're going to keep Luigi Circuit at the top of C for now. Sky Garden. This one's one that I'm sure a lot of us have opinions on. Especially with its most recent appearances. So let me start. I love Sky Garden. I love the OG Sky Garden. Sky Garden in Mario Kart Super Circuit and Mario Kart DS were peak. Personally speaking, I think it was the best in Super Circuit because Super Circuit was very bright and vibrant. I think it was great in DS. I love that it came back in DS. It was the Lightning Cup penultimate track, and I absolutely love that it was there. I'm going to be 100% honest. The appearance in Super Circuit and the appearance in DS are hard carrying this track when compared to its reappearance in Tour and in 8 Deluxe. I think a lot of people say this. Its washed up layout in Mario Kart Tour was the single greatest downgrade of any track. This track in Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a very huge disappointment. I'm pretty sure this was a D rank track in, or it was in D or in E. I don't remember if I don't remember if I had an F rank in my Booster Course Pass ranking. I might have gone to E, but either way, Sky Garden did not rank very high. But when that was only in the context of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is the context of everything. And Sky Garden's OG appearance hard carries it for me. The green stone road with the cloud off-road, the bright, vibrant blue sky with all the beanstalks growing in the background was a magnificent background. I love the color. The colors were great. Could have used a little bit more. I feel like the clouds could have been a little bit more on the white side, but otherwise, I very much like it. The music was a beautiful piece that I absolutely love. And that was the only thing that really pumped the tour version up a lot. I think that the tour remix of Sky Garden was amazing, probably the best version of the music piece there is. But the very, very disappointing washed-up layout of the deluxe and the tour versions were just a huge disappointment. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is such a great track. It's just a shame that they called it Sky Garden for some reason, because this is not Sky Garden." And I kind of agree. It really doesn't feel like Sky Garden. I didn't really care for the brownish, reddish, orangish brick road in 8 Deluxe. The gray stone road in Tour wasn't bad, but the OG will 100% hard carry this. And if you can believe it, despite the massive divide between appearances, I'm still putting this in the S rank. And I'm ranking it above Mario Circuit 3 and Bowser Castle 3. Sky Garden's original appearance still hits home for me, and I absolutely love it. However, while I'm not really using the 8 Deluxe or the Tour version as any sort of leverage in this ranking, it was still a huge disappointment. Perhaps if this... You know what? No, I'm actually going to say, I think if the Sky Garden of 8 Deluxe and Tour kept more of its original looks, this could have been a top 10 track, but it's not. It was a huge disappointment in Tour, and it still reaches S on its OG appearance alone, but it can't climb any higher. Cheep Cheep Island. This one, honestly, Cheep Cheep Island had to have been one of the most forgettable GBA tracks for me before it came back in Tour. Even then, this was the one track, when I started listing off Super Circuit tracks, this was probably the last one I thought of. It was another beach track, a massive beach, honestly, and probably one of the better beaches in the franchise, personally. The sunset vibe is really nice. The giant Cheep Cheeps jumping around in the background was really cool. And I love that it had a lighthouse island in the background. Really cool track. Its return in Mario Kart Tour was actually quite nice. This one did also receive some pretty significant layout changes, but I actually see them as more for the better, because in the original variation, these beach islands were huge, and they didn't really need to be that big. I still very much like the original layout. I think the best part was the boardwalk bridge over the water, and I thought that was very, very nice. And in Mario Kart Tour was a very, very welcome track. The giant ramps over the beach were really nice at the beginning, especially in the trick version. The reverse trick version going out beyond the beach was really nice, but kept it at water level. It was really cool. They kept the giant Cheep Cheeps jumping around. I know my buddy really likes this one too. So, personally speaking, I'm going to give this one a pretty fair B ranking. I think, you know what? I think it's slightly better than Shy Guy Beach, and I'm going to put it right beside it. They are pretty similar to each other. I do like the unique sunset vibe that the Cheep Cheep Island has. Also, I do really like that it does live up to its name, where it is a bunch of beach islands connected. Really nice. I think it's better than Shy Guy Beach. It's a straight upgrade. Not as good as the other B rank tracks though. It's a very good track though. Solid pick. Sunset Wilds is another one of my OG favorites. And I know a lot of people have a lot to say about this, especially in the 8 Deluxe version. We'll talk about that later. As you would probably know, Sunset Wilds got a little bit of a visual gimmick in that the sun sets at each lap, which was really cool in the GBA version. Again, GBA for a game with what I would imagine to have some limits, it got away with some really nice quirks and gimmicks. The sunset in Sunset Wilds and the rain and Luigi circuit were pretty cool. I really did love this track in the OG. This was another track that I unfortunately think that the layout change was a little bit much. When compared to not Sunset Wilds, I'm talking about Sunset Wilds. When compared to Sky Garden, it definitely was better. But when it first came out, it was pretty jarring, and I didn't really like it. I like the OG layout a little bit more. I understand, I think they did simplify a lot of GBA tracks because of their massive size. And it would be very, I think that Boo Lake and a few more tracks down the line, I don't want to spoil them right now, compressing the tracks felt like a better move in comparison to straight up oversimplifying them. Sunset Wilds was an example where I feel like a little bit more compressing and a little less changing were necessary. I missed the giant size. But thankfully in Tour, they did keep a lot of the gimmicks. They kept the giant footprints in the mud. They kept the mud patches. They changed the Shy Guys and their tents to Prospector or Explorer Shy Guys, which makes sense, understandable. The OG might have been could be seen as a little tasteless in modern times. So I think the change was necessary and appreciated. I won't talk too much about it. The sunset gimmick was still in Tour, and I think that was really cool. I like that they kept that. It goes straight from sunset to night because there's only 2 laps. It's everyone talking about its appearance in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe where it did not retain its sunset gimmick. And for me personally, I'm not bothered by it because I was more bothered by the layout change. And I think that was a bigger point of interest to criticize over the lack of the sunset. At least it is still sunset in the deluxe version, it just doesn't change. And while people have proven that it can change, it sadly didn't. Does it suck? Yeah, it does. Does it bog down the entire track for me? No. I still very much like it in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I still love it in Tour. The layout change is unfortunate, but it's still a very strong track for me. So I'm going to go ahead and rank this in A. I think I'm going to put it just below Calamari. I think what's carrying Calamari into the top of A is its 8 Deluxe appearance, where it's got the Calamari Desert 2 merged into it. But when I talk about Sunset Wilds and its OG, I still really much like it more than Cheeseland. So I'm going to put it second of A rank. Pretty solid. Starting off the Star Cup of Super Circuit, we have Snowland. Aside from not having the greatest of names, pretty blunt and bland name, Snowland is still pretty good for an ice track. I think my favorite part about Snowland is the giant ice crystals in the background. Really cool looking. They returned in both of its reappearances in both Tour and 8 Deluxe. I think this is one of those tracks where compression was what they did to simplify it in Tour. And they kept a lot of the same layout. They ditched the big L-shaped shortcut at the diagonal section, which doesn't bother me entirely, honestly. I don't even know if I really wanted to call it a shortcut, mind you. More or less, it actually probably wasn't. It probably wasn't going out of your way. It was mostly just to get some items and some extra coins in the OG. So I guess it really didn't have much to lose by it being cut out from the reappearances. Otherwise, among ice tracks, Snowland is pretty favorable to me. I really did like the blue ice road and the icy off-road. And again, the background was really nice, especially with the, I almost want to say like the sunrise? I can't tell the difference between sunrise and sunset, but the purple hue of the sky was very nice. Admittedly, the way the screen shook when you drove on this in the GBA version probably wasn't favorable to a lot of people. Did I care? Not really. But I did very much like its, again, large layout. I very much appreciated how big the GBA tracks were, and I can understand their compression in the modern games. But, yeah, Snowland, among ice tracks, it is pretty basic. It doesn't have a lot going for it, especially when compared to Frappe Snowland and Sherbetland of N64. I think by proxy, this is definitely one of the lower tier snow tracks, but I'm not gonna put it in the same tier as Vanilla Lake 1 and 2. Even if I do like Vanilla Lake 1 and 2 a lot. I think Snowland deserves a B, and I think I'm personally gonna rank it... I'm gonna rank it below Luigi Raceway for now. I think this is another case where, like, Luigi Raceway has a huge nostalgic value for me that I love. Yeah, no, I keep thinking back to how excited I was for this coming back in Mario Kart 7. So I think Luigi Raceway is going to inch out Snowland. Snowland's got... I think it's pretty average for a snow track, but it doesn't have the depth that Frappe, Snowland, and Sherbetland have. Even though Snowland kind of lacks the detail that Snowland actually does kind of have. So we're going to move on to Ribbon Road, and this is kind of in the same boat as Sky Garden. I love Ribbon Road in its OG appearance. The difference between this and Sky Garden is that Ribbon Road has 2 appearances and Tour is not one of them. It came back in Mario Kart 8's DLC. I was sorely disappointed. But let's start positive. The GBA version is another vibrantly colorful, really big, really unique track that I absolutely adore. This is... Honestly, it's so close to being my favorite Mario Kart 6 Super Circuit track, but it's inched out very narrowly. And even when I say narrowly, the gap technically could be a lot bigger. But hardcore, hard carrying is the OG. The vibrant, colorful, present-themed castle was phenomenal, and I absolutely love it. This track will get its rank solely from its GBA appearance, because its reappearance was a very big disappointment for me. I think I have teased this a few times. The first time being probably in my Booster Course Pass ranking, and the second time was when I played every single Mario Kart 8 track once the DLC was finished. The Booster Course Pass, that is. The 8 version of Ribbon Road did not resonate with me in the slightest. I think that the majestic, present-themed castle was far more appealing than the kid's bedroom. I will admit that the idea of making Ribbon Road into a toy castle was kind of neat, that at least they kept the castle theme. But I think that the course taking place inside an actual massive castle was far better than the track being made into a toy castle in a kid's bedroom. I like the details. I like that it's still there. This was another layout change that was a huge problem. The only spots in Ribbon Road that I recognized were the very beginning and maybe the section after the first jump. And even that's stretching it, because as opposed to being a bit of a triangle shape, it's more of a saggy oval shape, if that makes any sense. Otherwise, the entire blue ribbon section of Ribbon Road in 8 doesn't resemble any portion of the OG Ribbon Road, and that's what hurts it the most for me. It's a cool anti-gravity section, but if that resembled its actual OG appearance a little more, maybe. But I don't really think there was a lot in the 8 version that could save this track for me. It just kind of was a disappointment, especially considering this is one of my favorite GBA tracks. But to say that the OG is hard carrying it, I'm comfortable with that. I don't care. The 8 version kind of sucks, but I love the OG version to the point where this ranks in S, and it hangs above Bowser's Castle for N64. This is high in S for me on its OG appearance alone. I love it. It's phenomenal. It's majestic. The giant presence. It's got such a happy birthday vibe to it, and I love it. And that's what I'm gonna rank it on. And speaking of giving things favoritism for one reason or another, our next track of choice is GBA Yoshi Desert. Yoshi Desert. My favorite video game character of all time getting a track based on my favorite biome theme. Yeah, I love deserts. And that probably might not strike many people as a surprise. I'm the Burning Baron. I'm not the Burning Baron for my vacation home in the Antarctic. I'm the Burning Baron because I love things that are fiery. I love the heat. And while I'm very well aware that I myself would not be able to survive in a desert, being able to thrive in virtual deserts is the next best thing. And Yoshi getting a desert is all I need to say, yes sir. The giant Yoshi Sphinx is where this whole thing debuted. The Yoshi Sphinx has kind of become a recurring element across a few other places. Oddly enough, Sticker Star is one of them. Paper Mario's Sticker Star had an entire level based on the Yoshi Sphinx, which was a high point for an otherwise low game, but we're not talking about Paper Mario Sticker Star. We're talking about Mario Kart. The other appearance of the Yoshi Sphinx was in Dry Dry Ruins, which was pretty fantastic. Yoshi Desert is another pretty big track, and I love it for it. And reappearing in Tour was a pretty big thing for me. I love that it was in Tour. And better yet, the layout didn't get compromised all that much. It was a little less twisty. The U-turns were a lot less noticeable. Like, they were a lot less exaggerated. They were more slight U-turns. But overall, the shape was still pretty faithful. There were a few oases scattered here and there. In Tour, you can actually enter both of them. One as a shortcut and the other was just kind of randomly placed there. I think in the OG there was a ramp over the last oasis that you can jump over, which was pretty cool. It's a hard shortcut to master because there's a piranha plant pit in front of it, so you had to weave around that first. But the piranha plant pits were also pretty fun to dodge and maneuver around. This is a very, very strong track for me, despite I understand that it isn't very unique amongst Super Circuit tracks. It is a pretty basic desert. Tracks like Sky Garden, Ribbon Road, and Cheeseland definitely outrank this on the unique scale. But for me personally, this is a Yoshi-owned desert. Like, that kind of just gets favored by proxy. And truth be told, it is also an S-rank track, ranking just above Ribbon Road as my favorite Super Circuit track. I know, not exactly the most unique or exciting thing to come out on top, but again, this is my personal list, and Yoshi Desert's just up there for me. Finishing off the Star Cup is Bowser Castle 3. This 100% was the best Bowser Castle in the game, but Tour kind of changed that. Not in the sense where it downgraded Bowser Castle 3, where, well, it kind of did. Tour just made a different Bowser Castle look better. Bowser Castle 3 is unique in that it takes place on the outside of the castle, and it's got the palette change to show for it, where the road was actually a blue brick road as opposed to the tan beige brick road of the inside of the castle. This track reappeared in both Mario Kart Wii and in Mario Kart Tour. Mario Kart Wii remained very faithful, and I absolutely loved it. It placed in the Leaf Cup, which I think made sense because N64 Bowser's Castle appeared in the Lightning Cup. Don't want to double up on Bowser Castle in the same cups, you know what I'm saying? Bowser Castle 3 was really unique. I really loved the color palette for this track. Very big track, very nice track. Tour unfortunately decided not to bring back the outer castle walls and instead just reuse the same background Bowser Castle 1 and 2 had, which was disappointing. But the layout in Tour was not compromised. Few sections here and there were simplified, but nothing too huge. It was mostly just a few diagonal sections. Overall, though, very much enjoyed Bowser Castle 3. I think its OG is another example of just carrying it, but Mario Kart Wii also remained faithful, and I think that's where I gotta give it a lot of credit too. The variants were very interesting in Mario Kart Tour. I know at the time of recording this, we had just finished up the Peach versus Bowser tour, if I'm correct. The third or fourth rerun of this tour. Who knows? But the track overall, the variants were very fun. I know I just played a lot of the reverse variant for ranked in the last Bowser versus Peach, or Peach versus Bowser tour. The reverse trick version was hilarious because it looked like a bunch of ramps were just thrown up into a lava pit. It was crazy. Looked really weird, but it was really fun. This definitely ranks above both the other Bowser's castles. Bottom of A. I'm going to give it bottom of A. It's either going to be bottom of A or it's going to be top of B, to be fair. We'll get to that later. For now, let's move on to Lakeside Park. This one, unfortunately, was another track in that came back in Mario Kart Tour, but was significantly nerfed in its layout. They kept a lot of notable details, but I think the simplifications were a little much. This one kind of ranks on the same path as Sky Garden, where the simplifications were just too much. The unique thing about Lakeside Park is that a volcano would erupt in the background every so often, and it would darken the sky, I think within a few laps, which was really cool. Volcanic debris acted as hazards, which in Mario Kart Super Circuit were actually a lot more notable when compared to the cannonballs of Shy Guy Beach. That's mostly because the volcanic debris actually lingered on the track for a little while that you could still hit. You might want to avoid that. In Mario Kart Tour, the sky still darkened and the volcano still erupted and embers were scattered along the air of the track, which was really cool. All that happened on the second lap, and volcanic debris was significantly bigger, but significantly less in quantity. I think there was only 2 or 3 spots where this volcanic debris would hit, and in this game it would actually create craters on the ground that you can trick off of, which were pretty cool. I think Tour's layout changes were pretty significant, but the details and the original appearance were pretty significant to the point where I think it slightly outranks the layout changes. This is definitely a straight upgrade from Riverside Park. The question is, where do I want to rank this? You know what? I think I'm gonna put this in between Cheep Cheep Island and Snowland. I really do very much enjoy Lakeside Park for all it is. It's unfortunate that it got Tour's layout change what did I say that? What's the word? I don't think it's decrease. The layout change in Tour was just unfortunate, and I think that's why I'm not going to rank it any higher. But all the other features were pretty damn good. Broken Pier is one of 2 Super Circuit tracks that only has its OG appearance to lean on. And again, in the same way of me saying that maybe a few years ago Boo Lake wouldn't be ranked as high, a few years ago Broken Pier would 100% be outranking Boo Lake, but not anymore. Boo Lake kind of has a little bit more going for it thanks to its reappearances. Broken Pier unfortunately does not have that leisure. Benefit. That was the word I was looking for last time. Last time I got completely scrambled on looking for a word. Benefit was the word I was looking for, not leisure or pleasure. In any case, Broken Pier is just a bigger Boo Lake, a little bit more intricate on the layout, a lot of jumps that can be made, a bit of a risky shortcut leading to a giant jump leading to a very small boardwalk in the center of the track. Pretty risky, but could be worth it. The background was pretty menacing with the haunted mountains with the giant glowing mouths. Do I rank that over the mansion? Probably not. But at this point, there isn't really much to say about Broken Pier because it's just a better Boo Lake that unfortunately is no longer better thanks to Boo Lake having a reappearance to back it up. So that being said, I think this is a B rank track. See, here's the thing. Luigi Raceway is acting like a huge roadblock here. Because, like, do I really want... How much do I want to rank above Luigi Raceway? Broken Pier... Problem is, Broken Pier doesn't have a reappearance. I'm going to stick it with Mario Circuit, honestly. I'm going to say it's better than Mario Circuit 4, but the lack of a reappearance does halt it from climbing any higher. If this track ever got a reappearance, things could change. But for now... We're going to stick it in B, because it's still pretty solid, but the lack of a reappearance kind of prevents it from getting any higher. Alright, second final course of Super Circuit, we have Bowser Castle 4. Yeah, this kind of was the track that Tour did justice to. This was pretty freaking phenomenal in Tour. Unfortunately, here's the thing. It did receive a bit of a layout simplification, but not in the same way that most other tracks did. It still retains its giant shape. My problem with this track is that it went down to a 2-segment track. Understandable because of its massive size, but I feel like Maple Treeway and Rainbow Road are... Oh wait, no, Rainbow Road was also... Wii's Rainbow Road was also a 2-section track. No, you know what? Alright, benefit of the doubt. Because most of the giant tracks in Tour, like 3DS Rainbow Road and Wii's Rainbow Road, they were sectioned off. So Bowser Castle 4 makes sense. I really did like the elevation changes to this track. The giant steel balls that rained upon you on the one of the giant straightaways was really fun. But I think what earns this track a lot of praise for me is the aesthetic details. In that it does reuse the same GBA Bowser Castle 1 visuals from Tour, but it destroys the castle. And I think that's pretty huge. The throne is still intact, and I think you could still catch a door, but some of the ceiling of the castle has been completely destroyed, and the walls have kind of caved in, and there's now a giant lava pit in the center of the track, and I think that's so cool. I think the GBA Bowser Castle 4's appearance in Tour was pretty phenomenal, especially by GBA Tour appearances. I have to give it the glowing praise it deserves for that. And it's still a fun track. It still keeps a lot of the general shape. There was a split. They split off 2 pathways at the very end so that it's 2 separate things. You can either take a gliding ramp that'll lead back to the track itself, or you can stay on the track itself that leads to a jump that leads back to the track. It's still all connected as one, but this section splits itself off, and that's really cool. I think as a result of Tour alone, I have to put this in the A rank, and I think it's gonna rank pretty high. Like, honestly, I think it's only really losing out to Sunset Wilds in the A rank. Honestly, the improvements were huge, and I loved it. If I were to make any changes, I'd probably keep the giant orb thing in the background. That would have been cool. And I think I would have liked to see this one come back in Mario Kart 8. Not over SNES Bowser Castle 4 or Bowser Castle 3, but maybe over a different GBA track. I think I would have put this one, if I were to bring this one back, I think I would have canned Sky Garden and put this in Wave 3 and followed it up to 3DS Rainbow Road. That's what I would have done. And speaking of Rainbow Roads, let's end this off with GBA Rainbow Road. Another Rainbow Road that is yet to come back, but we know this one's on the list to come back soon. GBA Rainbow Road is so much fun. I think on the fun factor, this one's a solid 10 out of 10 because almost every single railing on this track is a ramp. In the OG, you can get away with some crazy shortcuts. I've actually got, now I haven't recorded this personally, I recorded this on my phone from a replay, but I finished GBA Rainbow Road in less than a minute. And while I know people could probably do better, that was a pretty big success story for me in finishing GBA Rainbow Road in, well, effectively 59 seconds and 90 milliseconds, but that's under a minute. It's thanks to how many crazy jumps you can pull off with this track. At the very beginning, you can use a mushroom to skip over a huge U-turn. At the very end, you can use the skinny split road and all the boosters to hit a ramp, jump into the sectioned off segments, and jump off the ramps there too. It's crazy. I'm pretty sure there are some pros who have made some quick work of this track, and I kind of would like to see that. That being said, I think GBA Rainbow Road also has a very unfair advantage of just being a Rainbow Road. Thing about it is that Rainbow Roads click with me because I love rainbows. I'm a very colorful, I love colors. And Rainbow Roads automatically resonate with me for those reasons. Most Rainbow Roads, for that matter. And GBA Rainbow Road is 100% no different. I think, well, again, it also unfortunately only has one appearance to talk about. But I just remembered one very key detail. GBA Rainbow Road is one of the few games to acknowledge Paper Mario, in that Bowser's Castle from Paper Mario is visible in the sky in the original GBA version. That's huge. That acknowledgement is already really good, but that's not even what's carrying this track. The fun factor, the music, the visual appearance, all of this evens out to a very strong S rank appearance. I think it ranks up. I think I'm gonna have to put it. No, I'm gonna put it above Sky Garden. By proxy of being a Rainbow Road, it does earn that. Sky Garden unfortunately has something here holding it back. GBA Rainbow Road doesn't. So I think we're gonna end it off right there. The GBA tracks have been added to the mix. Not a lot was shuffled in this version, but we did see a few more S rank tracks. We did see a lot of talk about Tour and how my thoughts on the layout changes of several GBA tracks either hurt or helped certain GBA tracks. But overall, once again, did not see a lot in the D tier. We'll get there though. I think that's a good thing. Seeing only 4 tracks between D and E is probably good, but we are seeing a pretty bloated C tier where that's just where a lot of SNES tracks ended up because they're just not as interesting. In any case, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys look forward to the next one where we will be covering Mario Kart Double Dash. So, I hope you guys all look forward to that, and I will see you all then.